and welcome to today's live Q&A. I'm Katie Keith, founder and CEO at Barn2 Plugins.
And I'm Sam. I handle all of the videos and a lot of marketing here at Barn2. And we're very excited to join you guys today on this live show where we will be answering your questions. So please leave us a comment where you're watching from, maybe what time it is for you. We're really interested to know if people are getting up early or staying up late just to watch us.
Yeah, the record is 3 a.m. Someone in Australia or something, isn't it?
Yeah, that's keen. That's very keen. But yeah, we really appreciate your comments and we would love to answer your questions in this live format for you. However, of course, we also have a lot of pre-submitted questions from those of you who registered in advance and left us your questions. We promise we will get through all of those pre-registered questions during the live stream. But if your question doesn't come up right away, just please be patient with us because we go through plugin by plugin just to keep a little bit of sense of order with the stream. And if you leave live comments, we'll be very happy to address them as well. Like Bruno, who's from my home area of Vancouver. I grew up on Vancouver Island, Bruno. So thanks for tuning in today and joining us. That's awesome.
Okay,
Alrighty.
so before we get into the questions, we'll go through a few company news things. So basically changes and upcoming topics at Barn2. So first of all, we've just released version 2.0 of our most popular plugin, which is Document Library Pro. And I will just give you a quick run through of that. So I'm going to share my screen and show you the main things that have changed. There's lots of little changes, but basically we've redesigned the whole settings page. Before we start, actually, I should show you the front end so you actually know what we're talking about. So Document Library Pro lets you add any type of document or resource library to a WordPress site. So here we've got a document table which has multiple columns of information about your downloadable documents, and it's got download buttons and preview buttons. You can select multiple documents and download them together. You can add things like audio and video. And it also has a folder view, which is a bit more like the file system on your computer. Organizations like universities and local governments and things particularly like the folder view. Or we've got grid layout, which is more popular for more visual or artistic types of resource. So that gives you more attention to each document. But what's changed with version 2.0 is generally the back end. So we have completely redesigned the settings area to make it easier to use. And the most helpful new feature is the columns. So previously, to set the columns in your document library, you had to write a comma separated list, such as title, comma, summary, comma, link, whatever. So now we've created a visual column builder where you can add columns, drag them to change their location. You can easily rename them to whatever you want, choose whether or not it's clickable. You can even set the width, although that also happens automatically if you don't do that, and how it works on mobiles and so on. And you can add loads of columns just by clicking from there. So that's much easier than it used to be. We've also made the link settings much more user-friendly so that it's a more flexible set of options in terms of how people download your documents. You can do things like opening them in a new tab, and it's just generally a lot more flexible how you control those download and preview links.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. And in other news, we will be in Basel very soon for WordCamp Europe. I don't know if any of you guys watching will be there, but if you're interested, we've set up a special calendar link. So anyone who wants to meet with us specifically, especially for any business purposes, or if you have any more specific requests, we can arrange a time to meet with you, either with both of us or with Katie, or even if you just want to meet with me and ask about how things are going on the YouTube channel. Yeah, you can use this Calendly link and set up a time to chat with us in person in Basel for those of you who will be there. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys there.
Keep doing that. Okay, so the next piece of company news is, as we've mentioned on previous live streams, we're starting to expand into Shopify. So at the moment, we just have WordPress plugins, and we're also starting to build Shopify apps so that we can help out merchants who sell on Shopify as well. So at the moment, we're looking for people to beta test our first app, which will be called Barn2 Bundles and Bulk Discounts. And I'm just going to give you a quick preview of how it looks in the back end. So you can think, if you have got a Shopify store, whether that will be useful to you and whether you'd like a free copy for a year, basically, in which you can beta test it. So this is the app in the Shopify admin. Sam, is my screen size okay now?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit tidier.
Yeah. Okay. So it shows you how much revenue has gone through your discount. So if people have bought $1,000 of discounted products in the last month, then that will appear here, plus the all time. But most importantly, the discount. So I'm going to click to create a new one. So this is a way to incentivize Shopify customers to spend more, basically. And to do that, we are creating two types of discount. One of them is a volume bundle, which is very popular in Shopify. And weirdly, I've never seen it in WooCommerce. So we're going to change that, and I'll get into that in a minute. So a volume bundle is like what we can see on the right-hand side here, where it's got a table of predefined volume offers. So if you buy one, you pay the usual price. If you buy two, you can save money, and so on. And there's two layouts for that. So I'll just switch to vertical. So there's two ways to display that. And you can choose what products and so on it appears on, and you can set up your deals with different discount levels. And that's a really visual way of encouraging customers to buy more of the same product. And they can also mix and match variants of that product. But even more interesting is bulk pricing, because when we researched Shopify apps, we realized that there was a gap for Shopify apps that have this kind of bulk pricing tier. They all seem to be volume bundles and not bulk pricing. So you can also use our app to create these tiered discounts and display that tier discount table on your product page. So that's two options. But as I mentioned, we didn't spot the volume bundles in WooCommerce, and we have a WooCommerce Discount Manager plugin. So based on our Shopify research, we're actually going to add these volume bundles to our WooCommerce Discount Manager plugin, which already had bulk pricing tiers if you want that. So if you're using WooCommerce, then you could use our Discount Manager plugin already for bulk pricing and soon for volume bundles as well. So then we'll basically be offering those benefits to both Shopify merchants and WooCommerce users. So yeah, get in touch if you are interested in beta testing it.
Awesome. So I noticed just a few other people chimed in based on where they're from. Jane says it's 11 a.m. in Chicago, or I guess that's the Windy City. I was just watching a movie today earlier that's based in Chicago, and it's called Primal Fear. I don't know if you're familiar. And also Alman watching from Paris. So very nice to see everyone chiming in, and thank you for joining us. So we can jump into our first plugin now, Katie.
Okay, so the first plugin we're going to talk about is WooCommerce Product Table. So I will introduce you to that now before we get to the questions about it. So WooCommerce Product Table is our biggest selling plugin of all time, and it lets you display WooCommerce products in a quick order form. You may notice it looks like Document Library Pro, which I just showed you, and that's not a coincidence. We actually started by creating a different plugin, Post Table Pro, which lists any type of WordPress content in a table. And then we had so many feature requests to display documents and WooCommerce products that we created dedicated table plugins for those use cases. So unlike Document Library Pro, WooCommerce Product Table has other things that are relevant to e-commerce, such as these quantity fields, add to cart buttons, the ability to add multiple products to the cart. You can see that it displays the total price of the selected items, so you can add them all to the cart. It has filters, so you can quickly narrow down the list of products, and so on. So it's a really quick way to buy products, and we would recommend using that for the types of products where you don't need a huge image. Customers are choosing based on comparisons between different products and also product data. So you can display things like attributes and any other custom data, size, dimension, weight, all of that kind of thing. If customers are buying based on factual data rather than how pretty the product is in a big image, then a product table is likely to be a better way to display it, either on your shop page or on any other page on your site.
Yeah, and our first question about this plugin was submitted by Steve. So thanks for the question. Yes, do you have a plugin to easily show a table of product prices? We are a photo lab and would like to show a table of print sizes and prices. Thank you. Well, as part of our demo in WooCommerce Product Table, I can show you this price list, which is specifically just showing the name and the price. But I think it'd be in your interest to show a few other columns, like you mentioned, the size of the print. It might even be possible to show a preview image along with that. But depending on how you set up the table, you don't actually have to have buy buttons. So like Katie was showing you, this functionality is kind of here by default in the plugin, but you can actually exclude it from the table if you don't want to have that functionality. And it's quite easy to set up in the back end. You just need to remove a couple of columns, and you can leave in whichever columns you want and add any new ones, of course. So I think that's a pretty simple answer to your question, Steve. And we noticed you had a separate question about WooCommerce Product Options. We will get to that when we flick over to that plugin very soon. All right. Awesome.
So the next question is from Jay. Have you got the comment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Sorry, that was my bad.
Yeah. So Jay says, I need this type of functionality. Is it possible with the product filter or variation table? So I'm going to show you what website Jay likes the look of that he wants to replicate using our plugins. And actually, you can do something similar with several of our plugins. So I'm going to give Jay all the different options. So this is the website that Jay is talking about, where, as you can see, we have basically a product table, but instead of products, it's showing variations for the same product. So here we've got the different variation image, and we've got the name of the variation and quantity. And there's also, it's hidden the price because they're using some sort of plugin to hide the price until login. So I'll explain how to do that with our plugins. The closest in terms of this exact layout would be WooCommerce Product Table, which has a feature to display each variation in a separate row of the table, exactly as we can see here. It's a little bit harder to set up than the second option I'm going to explain to you, because you would have to either add some custom code to your product page template, and we've got code snippets in our knowledge base for that actually, or you would have to add a short code to say the long or short description for each product in order to insert a table of variations of the relevant product. So it's a little bit harder to set up than the next option that I'm going to show you, which is WooCommerce Bulk Variations. So I'll just go to the demo for that now. So WooCommerce Bulk Variations, I will go into a specific product, creates a table of variations automatically on the product page. So here you can see a grid of variations where you can quickly select your quantities and add them to the cart. So it's a quicker way to buy variations. And unlike WooCommerce Product Table, this happens automatically. So as soon as you enable it, you can output it on any or all of your products which have variations. So it's a really easy way to add this. The reason I feature Product Table first is just because Jay's example was one per row, and this has more of a grid structure. But to be honest, this does the job just as well or better. And finally, regarding the login to view price feature, you would need to use our WooCommerce Wholesale Pro plugin for that, which has a hide price until login feature. And I see that the example that Jay provided was a wholesale site, so it would make sense to use our wholesale plugin, and you can do things like add wholesale registration forms, different tiers of wholesale discounts, and things like that.
We will do a little bit more of a demo of Wholesale Pro towards the end of our broadcast today, just so you know, because we had a few more people interested in it as well. Are you there, Katie? I feel like...
Yeah, I thought you were going to introduce WooCommerce Product Options next.
Yes, good. Well, I do have that tab ready, so I'm going to pop that on once you bring your screen off the stage.
Oh, it's because I'm sharing, right? Okay.
Yeah. All righty, cool. So this is an example of our WooCommerce Product Options plugin in action. So in this particular product, we have a drop-down list, which is the standard view for a variation on WooCommerce. But then you can see all of the other ways that you can display variations, such as color swashes, image buttons, which actually update on the thumbnail, text input, photo upload, and things like checkboxes, radio buttons, and of course our very popular, I wanted to say, price calculator. Thank you, brain, for
formula. Yeah.
pricing price formula. Let me find the product for that. There we go. So this is a made-to-measure product, and when the customer adds a value into each of these boxes, they'll get a price which is being calculated by the plugin, and they'll be able to add it to their cart straight away without having to send out for a quote and then getting the information back and then being able to add it to their cart later. So it streamlines the process for people who have made-to-measure items, or any kind of item which requires some price calculation based on the quantity or something else. The plugin also has conditional logic, so you can show or hide fields based on other selections. It's quite a comprehensive plugin. And let's get into the first question for it.
So this question from Meredith says, does this include Iconic? So Iconic are another company that sell WooCommerce extensions. So Meredith says, for show single variations, which is one of Iconic's plugins, how to have different variations on different pages and show the parent on some pages and variations on other pages. So Iconic show single variations plugin. Basically, it's really clever. So imagine you've got a t-shirt with 5 color choices and 5 size choices. So that is 25 variations in total. You can actually display each of those as if they were a separate product on your shop and category pages. So instead of just one product on the shop page for that t-shirt, you've got 25. And that way customers can see the options, and if they filter for something like red t-shirt, they'll immediately see the red variant. So it's quite a nice plugin if that's fits with your use case. So I think Meredith's question is about how that works with WooCommerce Product Options. So yeah, you can use them together because Iconic's plugin just changes how those variants are displayed on the shop and category pages, whereas our plugin changes what happens when you click through to the product page. So if let's say you're showing a red large t-shirt on your shop page and you click on that, that will actually take you to the normal product page. So Iconic's plugin isn't doing anything there. It's just changing how they appear on the shop page. So then once you're on that t-shirt product page, you can use our WooCommerce Product Options plugin to add extra options to your t-shirt products. You might have used those size and color variations to be displayed in a different way using our plugin. So our plugin can actually take normal variations and change how they're displayed. For example, it can show them as color swatches or clickable images or something like that. So you can use our plugin to display those variations in different styles, and you can also use our plugin to add additional fields, such as maybe a file upload field, so that the customer can upload a custom image which will be printed on the t-shirt. And if you use our live preview add-on for product options, then the customer can even preview that on the image of the t-shirt, and that will work with Iconix plugin, which, as I said, handles the shop page. So it's a bit complicated, but hopefully that's clear.
Nice one. I wanted to get back to just a few highlighted comments from people watching live. That's all right. Ben loves our plugins and has had a lot of success with Document Library Pro and WooCommerce Product Table. Sounds awesome, Ben. Thank you very much. And I'll just answer this question quickly. These webinars are going on our live, on the live section of our YouTube channel. Every time that we've recorded one, it's also available on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel page, Build with Barn2 or just Barn2 Plugins, then you go to the live section and you can see all our past recordings from the live videos, and they're timestamped. So I work on them after, and I make sure you can go to each section when we answer a new question about the plugins, or at least highlighting which plugin we're talking about at the time. So you should be able to find what you're looking for there. Now, I haven't read this in advance, so we'll see what he says. P.S. If you guys are ever up to taking on a restaurant plugin that could compete with Orderable and RestroPress, that would be amazing. They are good, but have some UX issues that make it hard to really use for restaurants. I'd love to share what I've learned to help you guys get a good start if you ever decide to tackle this. Well, interesting offer. Maybe if you can leave that in an email for us, and we'll be able to get back to you more properly. Unless, Katie, you want to reply?
Well, we should mention that we do have a restaurant plugin. So WooCommerce Restaurant Ordering is our kind of version of that. We built that during the pandemic, actually, because loads of restaurants started very suddenly using our product table plugin to create food order forms. So you can imagine how the product table layout was quite good for food, because you could have like a table for your starters, a table for your mains, and so on. And we realized during the pandemic that, yes, we needed a plugin which is more kind of Uber Eats style, purpose built for selling food, with features that are specific to that. So our restaurant ordering plugin is that basically. And it was our most popular plugin during the pandemic, because people were suddenly having to close their restaurants and start selling food online. And then since then, of course, lots of restaurants are continuing to do so.
All right. I wanted to get to the next question, which is, I need to just find it now. How can I remove the sentence select option on my product option page? Now, this was actually just clarified by Imane. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but it was just clarified in the comments. So how can I delete select an option in the drop down in a WooCommerce product option? So there is not necessarily deleting it, but you can have an option pre-selected by default. And if you do that, then the plugin won't show this select an option in the drop down. And instead, it'll just show whatever you pre-selected in the settings page. I'm going to actually show you that settings page now, because I think it's worth sharing. So I'll just share the correct tab, and here we are. So let's say we have, I'm going to add a new option so it's a little bit easier to see. A drop-down select. I'll just put a quick thing here in case it needs it. Now, in the label section, so label number 1, label number 2, and what you can do is selected by default, and then here we go. And now I can pre-select one of these as the default option. So default option number 1, or number 2. And when that's on the front end, it won't show the select an option as the first in the list. Does that sound like a satisfactory answer, Katie?
Yeah, I think that's a nice workaround. So
Mhm.
instead of programmatically removing that, you just pre-select something. I think that works really well.
Mhm. Yeah, so I hope you can use that tip. If you didn't see the option before, it's because it's hiding in this little cog. And then you just save the changes and it'll show up here. Okay, awesome. What do we have
So
next?
next question was from Steve. Have you got that one?
Steve, right? I've got a question from Steve here, yes.
Okay. Do you have any plans for photo cropping or other image handling options in product options? Well, first I should show the feature that we're referring to so that other people know. So like I mentioned a minute ago, WooCommerce Product Options has a file upload field which can display live previews. So I'm going to find a random image. Okay, an image of this podcast. So this has displayed, I'm going to make it bigger. There, that's a bit bigger. An image has automatically appeared over it. So Steve is asking whether you can do things like crop and edit the image. So all you can do is resize the image or like rotate it or move it. And the only way to crop it would be to make it bigger than the printable area. So if we just wanted me, which obviously we do, then that you've got that. Sorry, Sam. So that's the only thing you can do at the moment. And we have intentionally not made it possible to do more advanced image editing, such as cropping, at least for the time being, because of the sheer complexity it would add to the plugin. And there's so much we want to do with product options. For example, more people want text previews than want image cropping. So we're next going to be adding the ability to type text, which then appears in the preview of the image. You can already enter text. It's just the preview that doesn't exist. And there's loads of things like that. Whereas adding cropping, ability to recolor image, remove backgrounds, we've had feature requests for all of those, would be a huge project that would prevent us from adding those other features for the foreseeable future. So we've decided not to do that for the foreseeable future. And if you really, I would recommend using the description in the, say, in the file upload field of product options to describe what you should do. So tell the customer the required file size, recommended proportions, and tell them to pre-crop their image. You could even link to a relevant tool for doing so. If you really, really need that in your live preview, then I would recommend a plugin called fancy. Oh God, I say this every month. Fancy something.
Fancy Product Designer?
It might. I think it's Fancy Product Designer. Yeah,
I know that's
which
the
is,
one for sure.
yeah. I'm not a huge fan of it because it's really, really hard to use compared to product options, but it does have those features if you're prepared for that learning curve.
All right, I'll jump into the next question. So Andrea is interested in the WooCommerce Product Options plugin for creating price formulas. And the question is, does the plugin support variable and bundle products? Now, Katie and I were having a chat about this earlier. The plugin does support variations. You can set up variations as options, in fact. And I wonder if I can show you that really quickly. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. So it depends on if the product itself is a variable product. And I believe at the moment I just have a simple product. So let me go back to my options groups and see if I have one. Trying to remember which one of these has it. Maybe hoodie color. Yeah, probably this one. Yeah, so this one has, maybe. I'm trying to remember, but we can create choices using existing variable attributes. This is what I was looking for. And these are global attributes that I have in my store setup. So then I can select colors and I can actually add a few or as many of these as I want into this product as options. But in terms of bundle products, we don't have a firm answer on whether it supports a bundle product, because each of those individual products would need to have their own options added, and it wouldn't work if you added them all to the cart at once, because you wouldn't be able to add all the different variables before adding all the different items. But you can use what's called a products option type, and you can actually search through your products and add them as additional add-ons in the product options section of your product page. I know I said product a lot, but basically you can add new products. If I go back to the demo real quick, then I can find that here, I think. Here we go. So this is what it looks like. These are individual products, but as a customer, I can actually add, so these are the variations, and these are different products. So I can add 3 different products when I add this phone to my cart. So I'm actually adding 4 items to the cart when I do this. So I hope that's a satisfactory answer. And then there's another follow-up, a separate question, but similar, from Jane. How does the Product Options plugin handle SKUs for variations? Can your plugin allow us to create variations with 1 SKU per variation that allows multiple configurations of attributes? Well, this might be a little bit of a nuanced thing, so I'm not sure if I can give it a blanket answer, but basically, like I said, the plugin can handle variations as options. So you might want to go that route. If you need individual SKUs for all of those variations, you can kind of pull them in. But maybe I am a little bit off base here. Katie, can you clarify SKUs in product options,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about. So if you create the options directly in our plugin, they don't get SKUs. They're just options in our plugin. So instead, what you should do is create variations in the usual way. And then in the interface for our plugin, you can select those attributes and variations and display them as options, like on this smartphone page. Yeah, have you got that open where they've selected the variation?
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah, so you create choices using the attributes. So those are attributes that are pulled through from your variations. And so that's the way you should do it. So each of those does have a SKU. Basically, the customer is buying a normal variation. It's just that in the front end, it looks like they're clicking on nice images and radio buttons instead of using the usual drop downs.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. And there may be a little bit more to answering that question, but the basic idea is that. So yeah, we have a lot of documentation covering variations within the plugin because they were added within the last year. So yeah. Alrighty. Just looking at the time, I think we need to jump into our next plugin.
Yeah.
We have a couple of. Do we have any live questions to answer before we get back to it?
It looks like we've got some more comments about the restaurant side of things, so we might as well do those. So Ben was suggesting the restaurant promise plugin. He's saying it looks promising on the UX, but worried that the checkout page is borrowing too much from the default WooCommerce checkout. Yeah, our plugin doesn't change the checkout at all. Terms like ship to a different address aren't something that would normally show up on a food checkout. That's more for e-commerce products. So I'll answer that bit next. Yeah, you might want to change some strings on your checkout, which you can do using a plugin like Loco Translate or something like that to tailor it. And a lot of our restaurant ordering customers use our plugin with Iconic's delivery slots plugin, which allows restaurant customers to choose a slot either for pickup or home delivery for their food order, because that's a really important part of restaurant ordering. So a lot of people use those 2 plugins together. And you can also use Iconic's plugin to allow customers to choose their slots before they even start ordering the food using our plugin. So like there might be a table of delivery slots above the restaurant order form or something like that. So there's a few ways you can do that. It says, does the restaurant hours setting allow you to create multiple open periods in one day? I have forgotten. So we might need to get back to you on that one.
Mhm. I'm really happy. I really like this comment from Ben as well, where he said one of his clients, his biggest clients, just used Product Table, and they were blown away with how fast it was, and it also helped them achieve their biggest day online. And they said it was made possible with Product Table. So we're going to frame that and put it on the wall. Thank you, Ben.
Oh,
Nice one.
that's really good. And our support have just notified us that WooCommerce restaurant ordering does support multiple time slots per day. So we can confirm that now.
All right. Awesome. And Ben, if you do want to get in direct contact, you can just use either of our like first names like Katie or Sam at barn2.com. It's pretty simple.
Okay, so next we're going to move on to Document Library Pro. I have
Awesome.
already introduced it. So Sam, you can get straight into the questions.
Thank you. Let me find that next question. Guillermo wants to know, can I assign private files to a specific user? I have files that should be only available to specific users. Well, with Document Library Pro on its own, no, but with the combination of two of our plugins, yes, you can. So we actually sell Document Library Pro in a bundle, which can save you some money when you're buying two plugins. And that bundle is with the password protected categories plugin. Now, I don't have a demo open straight away, but it's kind of hard to show a demo of a privacy plugin because the whole idea is that the content is hidden behind privacy. So when you set up the privacy plugin, you can set up a password or access for a logged in user, and you can send that access to your customer or to your specific user. In this case, a user access would be doable. So you just add their name to the list of people who can access that category, and then they'll be able to see those files. And anyone who's not logged in or isn't allowed to access them, they just won't see them. When they load the page, everything else will be there except for the private pieces. All right. And this is a two-parter. So Lisa wants to know, can I make multiple document libraries that hold different documents? For example, one document library for gardens and another one for the zoo, which goes on another page.
Yeah, you can do that. So the way Document Library Pro works is by default, it creates a page for you that contains a shortcode that will output all of your documents in one library. But the shortcode is actually way more advanced than that. And if you go into our Document Library Pro documentation, then you'll find lots more shortcodes that you can use to list specific documents only. And for Lisa's needs, I would recommend creating document categories for gardens and zoo and animals and whatever, as many categories as you want. And then you would do a short code, which is doc_library space doc_categories equals, and then you, this is in the knowledge base, you don't have to write it down, and then you would write zoo or gardens or whatever your category slug is, and that will display just documents from that category. Now, you can also do it for loads of other types of data, like you can display documents by tab, the date they were added, author, loads and loads of things, but for Lisa's purposes, use categories.
Awesome. Wow, actually, we're getting so many comments. It's hard to keep up. Honestly, I'm a little bit lost. I'm glad we have some help from
Yeah.
our support on the back end, starring comments for future reference. Do you want to go back to some comments, or I can jump into WooCommerce Protected Categories?
Um, yeah, let's do some comments now.
Mhm.
So Luca has asked whether there's any extra promotions for this product. So we don't typically run sales, and the best way to get a discount is either to buy a 2 plugin bundle. Most of our plugins, if you go to the sales page, you can buy either on its own, or you can get a 50% discount by buying it with another product. And we've basically handpicked products that people commonly use together. So, for example, if you buy WooCommerce Product Table, then you can then get 50% off our filter plugin. So that's one way to get a discount. But the biggest discount, if you want to use several of our plugins, is to buy our All Access Pass, which gives you something like 82, it might be 84% discount compared to buying all of our plugins individually. So those are the best ways to get discounts.
Mhm. If sorry, Katie, if this is Luca, it might be the one who also pre-registered, and he has
And
a
I know
Polish
I
name.
pronounced it wrong, but I
No,
didn't.
no, no, it's okay because he wrote Luca. But I'm just wondering if it's if it is it Łukasz? And comment if you are actually Polish. And
You live in
Cześć.
Poland. You should know this.
Yes, yes. Well, it's a very unique name to have if you're not Polish. But yeah, I'll say cześć and dzień dobry. That's all the Polish I'm going to give you today.
I have no idea. So,
Awesome.
so another question from Ben. How did Barn2 begin, and what are we most excited about for the next 6 months? So I started the company with my husband, Andy, back in 2010, and we were a web design company then. We then became a WordPress web design company, and we built sites for clients for a few years. And then we switched to selling products in 2016, and that went really well. And we built products largely based on experiences with our customers, which was showing us where the gaps were. For example, the plugin we'll get onto in a minute, WooCommerce Protected Categories, was our first ever plugin. And we grew from there, really. And now we are just a product company in that sense. And in terms of what we're most excited about for the next 6 months, this is a bit traitorous for the WordPress side of things, but I'm going to say Shopify apps, because this is a whole new area that we are branching out into for the first time. And it's exciting to see where that will go. But I've also been really excited by how much of my learning from Shopify I can bring back into the WordPress ecosystem. For example, earlier on, I mentioned our WooCommerce Discount Manager plugin, which we're going to add volume bundles to, having discovered that they're huge in Shopify, but none of the WooCommerce discount plugins have that feature. So it's like a new way of getting ideas. So there's various reasons that I'm most excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to our other starred comment from Bruno, which is, do you have a way to implement quantity-based prices, either a fixed or percentage volume discount on products? So I'm going to assume this is about WooCommerce and therefore our WooCommerce Discount Manager plugin. And so, yes, it has that. So there's a discount type. There's 6 discount types in our Discount Manager plugin. And one of them is called bulk pricing. And that works very much like the bulk pricing I just showed you at the beginning in our upcoming Shopify app, but for WooCommerce. So you create multiple pricing tiers. Like if you buy 2 to 5, then you will either get $10 off or 10%. It works with both. And then you might do a 6 to 10, and that gives you a 20% discount or whatever. So you can create an unlimited number of discount tiers. And unlike most plugins, you can also display those tiers on the pricing page in a tiered pricing table. So that's a really good way to show customers that they can save money by buying more. You can see it here on the screen, so that they can really see, oh, I was going to buy 4, but if I buy 5, I get double the discount. So it encourages them to spend more, and everybody wins, including the customer. And before we move on to the final plugin, let's go back to the you can pronounce the name, but you got it right.
Yeah, it's WooCommerce. It's like Lucas in English.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks for joining us. All right. Wow. We were just talking about WooCommerce Discount Manager, and I remembered we had a little question also from Tim. How can we search for products to see which discount they're assigned to? I didn't discuss this with you in advance, and frankly, I'm not sure if there's an easy way to do this. Are you familiar?
So when you go into the list of all the discounts in WooCommerce Discount Manager, there is a which products column where you can see at a glance which products it's assigned to. So if you have like a couple of if you have a couple of dozen discounts, let's say, then it's fairly easy to scroll through and see. Admittedly, if you have hundreds and hundreds of discounts, which I don't know if any of our customers do, I've never seen that, but if you did, there is not a search function to see which products they're assigned to. But for fewer than that, just use the which products column, and it will say either store wide or list the exact products or categories that discount is on.
Yeah, in this applies to column specifically. Yeah, so all products, or just one product in particular, for example. Yeah, I guess if there was a long list of products, it would probably show as all of them, or does it append the list?
We recently redesigned this. I don't know if it's live yet, but there will be something like a cross or a more link or something, so that the list doesn't become too long.
Yeah, if I add a few, let's just add like 6 products here, and let's save that and see what happens.
6 might not be enough to trigger it, but
it might not be enough to
I
trigger it.
certainly signed off a design, but I don't know if it's actually gone live yet anyway.
Yeah, and I might be running an outdated version of the plugin just because sometimes the updates don't come through right away. Okay, well, good to know. At least it won't be much longer than that. Yeah. All right.
And we've got a comment from Bruno. Can I upgrade a single license to a bundle license? So yes, you can. When you go into your account page on barn2.com and you go to the area with the license upgrades, then you will see all the upgrades, like 5 sites, 20 sites for the license you've got, but you will also see the bundle options. So that might be, say, if you're on Product Table, you will also see the options with the bundle that has our filter plugin included. And you will also see the all access pass if you want to upgrade. And that way it will deduct the price you've already paid, possibly reduce pro rata depending on when you bought it. So that's the cheapest way to upgrade.
Nice one. I'm going to jump us into the next plugin because we still have a few pre-submitted questions that we haven't got to yet, and we're coming up on the hour very quickly. So let's jump into WooCommerce Protected Categories. The interest in this plugin came from a company called Dialed In Threads, and they just wanted to know a few more details about this plugin. So I'll just give you a quick intro. Basically, WooCommerce Protected Categories, it's specific for your WooCommerce store. That's what you should know. And it protects categories in the sense that you can create private, basically sections of your store using categories. Or you might have a live site that's just public facing, but there's 1 extra or 2 extra categories that are private for your users or for members or just people who you want to give the password to. So there are 3 types of protection, like I mentioned. Password protection, you create passwords, you give out those passwords, and people can access them. Role protection, they have to be logged into your site and at a certain user role, like subscriber, for example, and then you can grant access to your subscribers using role protection. And user protection is on a per user basis. You grant access based on the user ID, okay? And it works similar to our other privacy plugins. You assign levels of protection to various categories. If you assign some protection to a high-level category, it'll protect all the subcategories within that. If you just protect one subcategory, then the higher level categories and other ones won't be affected. I hope that is a nice little intro there for you. And let's jump into the next one.
Okay, so that is about WooCommerce Product Filters. So let's introduce that, just opening it up on my screen. And then
Thank
I'll
you,
share
Katie.
it.
I just made a video about this plugin. Actually, it went live on Monday. So brand new video on the Barn2 Build with Barn2 YouTube channel, I should say.
Excellent. I'm just trying to find my tab. I think I have too many tabs open.
I'm getting a little lost with all the craziness of this live stream because we've got so many lovely live comments and questions, which is awesome. But it does make it hard for my brain to follow. Where you go, Katie?
So we're on WooCommerce Product Filters. So this is our filter plugin. If you've used the default filter widgets that come with WooCommerce, you'll see they're very basic. So we built a more advanced filter plugin that adds much more visually appealing and user-friendly and flexible filters. So you can filter by any type of product data, like there's a category filter, custom taxonomy filters, custom fields, whatever. And you can also choose how they're displayed, like as images or clickable text clouds or range sliders or anything really. It's much more flexible. And you can either display them in the sidebar, depending on your theme, that might be on the left or right, or you can display them, like here's another range slider, in the above your list of products, and there's all sorts of different styles, whichever layout you choose. And even if you're on mobile, you don't need to worry about your sidebar vanishing because the filters will appear above, even if that's only on mobile. So it's really good for mobile users as well as desktop, which is often an issue with filtering in online stores where they're not accessible for mobile users.
And
so did we have a question? Yeah.
Yeah. This is a two-parter, actually. So the first part is about, do you want to get to the licensing after or?
It's on the screen, so let's do it.
Yeah.
So does licensing allow for both production and staging sites? Yes. So when you buy a one site license, it will work on your live site and your staging site. And we've basically created a certain, how do you say, like if you name your staging site in a certain way, like dev dot or test dot or something like that, there's a page in our knowledge base which lists all the different things you can call your staging site. Or if your staging site is called something else, then you can contact our support and we will extend your license key to cover that. And in addition to that, it will work on an unlimited number of local sites. So if you're working locally to develop your site, then you can use your license key there as well as on the live site.
And when you want to push it live, like let's say you build a new site locally and then you want to put it to production, but you don't have a license key for that, that's when you would need to upgrade to a package. Yeah. All right. And then the other part of the question, well, actually, there's two parts in the question. So can I use different filters for different categories? Like a different set of filters for a different category?
I think, yeah, displaying different filters on different category pages. So I would say the best way to do that is with attribute filters. So the way the plugin works is that when you create product attribute filters, you can select the exact attribute, for example, color, or you can select a different option, which is create filters automatically based on attributes of current product. It's probably not called that, but that's what it does. So that way, if one category has products that use, say, a gender attribute, and another category has products that use a type of exercise attribute, for example, then the relevant attributes filters will show on the relevant category pages automatically. So that's the easiest way to do it. If you wanted to do other types of filter on certain categories only, then you might need to do something like install, say, a widget options plugin, where you can use that to choose where your filter widgets will appear. So you might create multiple filter widgets and use your widget options or widget visibility plugin to choose which categories that appears on. But if you use the attribute method, then you just add one set of filters and that will automatically show the relevant ones.
Mm-hmm. And the second part, this is from the same commenter, Bruno says, when using Elementor Pro, what are the ways to add filters outside of shortcodes, if there are any? And the same question applying to UX Builder or Flatsum, for example. I just wanted to show this website that our knowledge base, page, which is for product filters within the page builders, and we have Elementor listed among others on that page. So I think, let's see if I can, basically the answer to this question, sorry, I wasn't prepared to answer, but I will do my best. You can use shortcodes or the widgets that we have on. I'm a little lost. Sorry, Katie. Can you jump in for me here?
Okay, so with Elementor, the best way is to go to that knowledge base article. The best way to use filters without using shortcodes and with Elementor is to use widgets. So you create a filter group in our plugin under product filters, and then you go to your widgets editor in WordPress and you add a product filters widget and you select your filter group, and that will work in any widgetized area with Elementor. But there is an extra step you need to do to make the filters work with Elementor. It's easy, you just need to know to do it. So go to this knowledge base article and that will tell you what that step is. There's like a box you have to tick or something, and then the filter widgets will work with Elementor.
Thank you, Katie. Sorry about that, guys. It's been 58 minutes already, so my brain is like, okay. Here's another comment from Bruno. So in filters, can I only show the options that are currently in stock?
Yeah, we have that. I didn't scroll down far enough on our demo page. So if I had scrolled down further, we've tried to show all possible filters on this. There is one that says in stock or on sale, and you don't have to have on sale as well. You can have either or both. So then if you click on in stock, then it will filter to only show in stock products. So yes, you can do that.
Nice one.
Right, so we have a couple of comments which support have told us about, which for some reason didn't appear on our comments. So I will just get to those next. So one of them is from Rob D. Do you have any metrics that you can share related to live streams, such as increased sales, customer satisfaction, etc.? Well, the only metric I have is the number of viewers, and I can see that right now 116 people are watching, which is really good. And given that what we do is quite niche and specific, I'm very happy with that. And also the number of comments, the way people are engaging, I would say that those are positive metrics, or at least observations. But no, we don't have a way to track sales from live streams. It's more instinctive. What do you think, Sam?
I think, Katie, if you did a complete cost breakdown of this live stream, our time and everything, it probably wouldn't directly pay for itself necessarily, unless we sold some all access pass or something every time we did it. But if you look at it from a holistic point of view, this is a way that we connect with customers. We get to listen to feedback. We get to find new ideas. So I think on the whole, it's really beneficial, but on just dollars and cents, I'm not sure it's the most beneficial marketing tool we have, but it's definitely a very useful one for a lot of other reasons. Yeah, if that's
There's
what the question is
also
about.
unknown benefits. For
Mhm.
example, we display the banner about our live stream in the header of our website for a week before. So even if people don't watch, I kind of feel like that will make them think of our company as accessible and that we're there if they want us. So that
Mhm.
might affect conversions even if they're not watching the live stream. So it's really impossible for us to evaluate. But because people
Mhm.
are engaging, we keep doing them. Whereas if
Mhm.
nobody was watching, nobody was asking questions, then I think we would stop, wouldn't we?
Mhm. This was actually a very last minute registration question from Luciana, and you want to know more about digital download plugin and WooCommerce Wholesale Pro. So I'll just quickly discuss, I guess, talk about Wholesale Pro, and I can share my screen as well. I keep closing it for some reason. I don't know why. Um, yeah, if you go onto our website, you can find a demo of the plugin. One thing that the plugin adds by default is a wholesale login and a wholesale registration as well, which is really handy if you are setting up your store for this purpose. But the entire plugin itself can create a separate section of your store, which in this case, you can see the public shop, which everyone can see. But then as soon as you actually log in to the wholesale store, oops, I clicked on something wrong there. Let's see, there we go. I think I have to just quickly add the hello at Barn2 and then log in. Once they log into the store, is that not working? There we go. Then they can actually see all of the wholesale products and importantly, all of the wholesale prices. So now instead of $15, it's $9 for the wholesale customer. And within the plugin itself, you can create different wholesale tiers. So you can actually show off better prices to your better customers, whatever the term is for this. Basically, your gold members get a better price than your silver members, or something like that. There's a lot of very wholesale specific features in the plugin that I don't have time to go into because we're already over time on this live stream. But please let us know with a support email or getting in touch if you have any more specific questions about Wholesale Pro. And I will also just mention our demo for the EU VAT plugin, Easy Digital Downloads. There we go. Katie, I think you can take over and talk about this one easier than I can.
Did we have a question about this one?
Just general interest.
Oh, okay. Somebody's saying, can we introduce it?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you sell digital products to customers who are in the EU or the UK, then it is very likely that you are legally required to charge them the tax for the country they are in. So even if your store's based in the US or Australia or something, if you're selling downloadable products such as digital images or WordPress plugins, as we do, to customers in Europe, then you probably should be collecting European tax, whether that's German, French, whatever. Obviously, that sounds like a nightmare. So we built a plugin to do that on our own site and meet the legislation, and also to help other people as well. And unlike most of our plugins, this is not WooCommerce because we don't use WooCommerce on our site. It's Easy Digital Downloads. So if you're using EDD, Easy Digital Downloads, to sell digital products, which is all it does basically, then you probably need our plugin. And as well as using our plugin, which will it meets your invoicing requirements, and it will allow customers to reverse their tax if they don't have to pay the tax. Like if they have a German VAT number, they can enter that and have their German tax removed, whereas if they don't, then it will charge them the correct rate of German tax and things like that. And in addition to that, we will send you guides on what you need to do to actually send the European Union the relevant tax that you've created via our plugin. So it's pretty complicated. We have very comprehensive guides, and it's boring but important if you sell digital products.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we do, are there any more pre-submitted questions, or shall we get
No,
on
that was the last pre-submitted question. I just thought we really had to get to it because I promised everyone at the beginning we would get through all the questions that were pre-submitted. So
okay.
Now we just have a few live comments.
So Bruno said you just got yourself a new customer, so that's great.
Ooh.
Ben has some comments in response to the question about the value of these webinars, which is really interesting. Ben says, it's webinars like this that communicate to me that you guys are here to support your products. Too many companies make plugins and abandon them. That's very true. So yeah, hopefully it adds a face or two faces to the company and makes us more accessible, which is the goal. Ben also says, you've got a lifetime customer from me and my peers because of webinars like this. Also been a fan of your activity on social. So that's another way to show what happens behind the scenes at Barn2. And follow me on Twitter.
Lifetime value. Awesome.
Yeah. Eamon says, how does it work, the translation in the front office for shops with other languages? Now, I don't remember what plugin that was, but it doesn't really matter because all of our plugins are fully translatable, whether you're using WPML or Weglot or Translate Press or whatever. So a lot of our plugins have built-in translation. So if you just need the admin to work in your language, then that will happen automatically. Or we've provided instructions on how you can translate the admin pages yourself if you need to do that, depending on the language. But in terms of multilingual, you can use our plugins with different multi-language plugins. And there was one more question which our support have told us about. I just need to remove this one from the screen, which for some reason didn't show up in our comment feed, which is from WP Minute Tutorials, which is, I think, Matt Medeiros. How is Katie finding the Shopify community events versus WordPress events? So I'm sure Matt follows me on Twitter, so he should have seen my tweet about this a few days ago, I think from Tuesday, in which I intended my first ever Shopify event on Monday in Paris. And then on Tuesday, I published quite a long tweet with my reflections on how it compared to WordPress events, which I've attended many of. Well, firstly, WordPress events don't greet you with champagne, and there's no fireworks on the stage when the speakers enter the stage. So that was an immediate change. And there's also more people wearing formal clothes like suit jackets and things in Shopify. So that was a surprise. So I turned up in my Barn2 t-shirt, and not many people were branded, but I was happy to be branded because it's about building our name in Shopify, which we're new to. So I didn't care. But overall, I found it more business related, but that might be because it was a small conference organized by another app founder, a product person. And there was only 150 or so people there. So I would say it compares to PressConf, which probably most of you don't know what it is, but it's like a business WordPress conference, and Matt Medeiros knows about PressConf. And so I'd say it's more like a business special WordPress conference. But at the end of this month, I will be going to 2 bigger Shopify conferences in Toronto, and they are more like WordCamps, which are the big WordPress conferences. So if you ask me again next month or look at my Twitter, then I will tell you how the big Shopify events compare to the big WordPress events.
Awesome. Well, I think that brings us to a close for the day. Thank you guys so much for all of your live comments. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. If you're still watching, thank you very much. Yeah, we will be at WordCamp Europe in Basel in the beginning of June before our next live stream. So that's why we're announcing it now. And we would love to catch up with you. We have a calendar. You can book a meeting with us or just get in touch with Katie on Twitter or myself, and we'll be able to arrange that with you. So yeah, our next live stream is going to be on June 19th. So you can register in advance for that where on our events page. That's what I wanted to say. And Katie.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, tune in on the 19th of June, and we look forward to answering your questions again there. Bye.
Bye-bye.